Hello, everyone. My name is Murray McLean. I'm the Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager here at Open Access Limited. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Sionna Investment Managers. We've recently added Sionna in our cat portfolios in the Canadian equity allocation. Joining me today is Shannon. Kim is the founder of Sionna and lead portfolio manager on the Canadian Equity Fund. Kim, could you tell us a little bit about Sionna? Who is Sionna?
Well, I founded the firm 24 years ago as an equity boutique investment management firm, and we've been growing since then. And we're focused on investing in value-orientated equities with below average risk to get a really good risk-adjusted return for investors. And right now, our investment team is comprised of 7 investment professionals, most of us with our CFAs, and quite a few of us with extensive tenure. There's 3 of us who've been in the industry over 25 years. And so we've seen a lot of different markets and we know how to manage throughout them. So that gives you a pretty good sense of the basics of Sionna overall. And I should also mention that we all invest in the firm and we're all shareholders. Everyone at the firm owns shares except for the newest employees. So we're really committed to the money we manage because we're involved in it.
Thank you, Kim. We're investing in the Sionna Canadian Equity Fund, which you manage along with your team. I believe you would describe your approach as being value-based, but with a relative value approach to the Canadian market. Can you tell us a little bit about your fund? And can you tell us about how the relative value style is implemented?
Sure. Well, why don't I back up a little bit and say I started my first mutual fund way back in 1990, and it's worked so well I really haven't adjusted the approach. So the core approach is value investing, where we're trying to buy $1 for 75 cents and be patient and wait for it to go back to $1, but by particularly looking after the overall risk in the portfolio overall. But what's that relative value mean? Well, Canada's an unusual marketplace. Unlike where value was invented, the US, which is a deep, broad market, Canada is more resource-orientated than most markets in the world. And as such, we're a little bit more cyclical than other markets in the world. And so in order to have a more consistent return, because we found that clients like good, solid returns with below average risk, that by hugging the benchmark, plus or minus 5% sector weights, that we will limit the risk in the overall portfolio and actually enhance long-term results. And so we think it's a better method. It's worked really well. And we've been using it ever since we founded Sionna back in 2002.
Great points, Kim. There are many active managers in the Canadian equity space. Can you tell us a little bit about how your firm is differentiated from other managers and other strategies in the Canadian equity market?
Sure. We're independent and employee-owned. Every employee at the firm owns shares, and we invest in our own firm, so we're eating our own cooking. Our investment approach is quite disciplined. We start with a quant model that really identifies what's truly cheap in the marketplace, and then we follow it up with deep fundamental research so that we can avoid having too much risk in the portfolio overall. And then we build an overall portfolio that we think can deliver most of the time in the marketplace without a lot of risk. So one of the things that makes Sionna different is we're 100% independent. And because of that, we don't have any restricted share lists so that we can really invest in anything that we think that the clients need at the moment we think that it should be added to the portfolio overall. And also it's our process. We start with a fairly simplistic quant fund, which helps us identify what's truly cheap in the marketplace. And we follow that up with deep fundamental research, which really gets to the question of risk of the portfolio overall. Because what we're seeking is a contrarian portfolio going against the grain of what people believe in the market overall, and yet delivering consistent low-risk returns. And we think that's a fairly important differentiator for our firm overall and gives that consistent low risk. But finally, I think one of the interesting aspects about our firm is that we're woman-headed. And that's very rare in the investment world today. And we also have another female portfolio manager. And so that we have a very differentiated view amongst all the members of the investment team in terms of ethnicity, and background, and we think that brings out a benefit in the overall portfolio by having many minds come together to agree on what will add to the long-term returns of the firm.
Those were terrific points, Kim. Thank you for your comments and for sharing them with us here today. We're excited to be working with Sionna and your entire team. We're confident that we're going to be able to have better investment returns and better risk control across the CAP portfolios. We look forward to a long and successful relationship working with you and your team at Sionna Investment Managers. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this informative and helpful.